This episode has been one of the most requested, both in-person and online videos I think I'm going to make in the next 12 months. It is the full cost breakdown up until this point. Now, as the bloke that's been paying invoices and having his bank account hemorrhaging for the past 8 months, let me tell you, the total figure that I have just crunched the numbers and arrived at is truly devastating for a number of reasons. Because A, not only am I still just left with an old 80 Series Landcruiser, but B, I'm gonna be cruising around in something way, way nicer, or have bought property in Australia. But anyway, I'm gonna stick with my guns. I'm sure I've made the right decision here, and today we're gonna go through it all. But I have to preface this video with a couple of things. The first is, we're filming this outside under a flight path, as you can probably hear. We're gonna try film around it, but look, we're just gonna do the best I can. 1 second. The second thing is, I am in a very fortunate position. That fortunate position is that I've got thousands of you guys out there, fans and just general legends that have basically supported me and helped me build this channel to be able to do what we do. That is build crazy cars where budgets aren't really a thing that we have to worry about too much. If I wasn't in the position that I'm in, doing what I do, there is no way in hell I would build a car to the caliber or level that I have built this car to. This thing has spiraled out of control and is just utterly ridiculous. And the money that we've spent in this is way better invested in pretty much anything other than an old solid axle four-wheel drive. So I'm warning you guys, don't do what I've done. But look, heck, if you're here and you're enjoying it, well, it is what it is. We're basing this off full retail price. If we'd paid full retail for absolutely everything so that it's as easy to follow along as possible. All the labor rates and that kind of thing that are included in this cost breakdown are based on about 150 to 160 bucks an hour, which seems to be a pretty standardized industry average for the sort of automotive space. Let's dive into it, starting with the base cost of the car. Now, for those playing along at home that may not be familiar with the channel or have just stumbled across this video, this is my 1992 Toyota Land Cruiser 80 Series. It's petrol. When I bought it at 500,000 kilometers, and I bought this about probably 10 months ago to replace my last car, which was another 80 Series that unfortunately got stolen. And this is basically where we're going to kick things off. The start of this entire project, the initial cost was buying this car, and that was $10,000. Then we're moving on to the wheels and tires. We're running DWC lockup rims and the Maxxis Trepadors. We've got 5 of the rims and they're at 575 bucks each, thereabouts, bringing that to $3 grand. And the tires are about $700 each, so about $3,500. So wheels and tires, total $6,500. Then we move on to the brakes and the braking components of the build. Now, to start things off with, dual diaphragm brake booster from Bendix, 750 bucks. We've got the DBA slotted rotors front and rear. They're about $500 a pair, $1,000. Brake pads, 300 bucks. We've got the brand new calipers, $900. And then we've got braided lines and brand new hard lines, all custom done up in Brizzy throughout the entire vehicle. And that was about $1,500 or $1,700. So that takes us to $4,500 in braking systems. Now, as you would have seen recently on the channel, we got the interior trimmed, and boy, has it turned out amazingly, but at a cost. So we've got the front Falcon seats, they're 400 bucks for that torn up tatty pair that you saw. We've got the Hurricane fabrication brackets, which meant we could adapt the seats onto the 80 Series rails and bolt them in the car, $400 for the rail kits. We've got the one stone armrests, and they were 250 bucks. Now, this is where things get out of hand quickly. To get the seats trimmed, front and second row, $7,000. We got the wheel trimmed, which was 1,200 bucks. And then we had the one stone armrests custom trimmed as well. They're about 250 bucks each armrest to trim, so 500 total, bringing the interior so far to 9,750 bucks. Then we move on to the wrap. As you would have seen many, many months ago on the channel, we went down to all stuck up. A full color change wrap like this, plus some extra little bits and pieces, about $7,000. The tint, 300 bucks. That pretty much wraps that little bit up, $7,300 total. Now we're getting into some heavy hitters. Engine. Now I've done my best to try and break down everything in this build and all the little bits and pieces. There's definitely going to be some stuff I've forgotten about, but I've tried, all right? I've tried. So let's start things off. The 105 1FZ, which is the motor we started with, 1,000 bucks. Block machining, 2,500. Head flowing and machining, $4,000. Cams, $2,000. The turbo, Well, the turbo's a funny story. They're about 1,500 bucks each, and I've got $3,000 here. Why? Well, because we had to buy two of them because the first one wasn't big enough. Rods and pistons from Spool Imports, $2,500. The manifolds, there's a little bit of grey area here. There's about 2 to 3 grand because obviously we had the 6 boost, we also had the ProFlow, but we then had to cut up that ProFlow and buy another part manifold kit and then get it fabricated all together. So let's go with 3 grand there. Miscellaneous ARP hardware, $2,500. We've got a custom NPC clutch, $2,500. There's about $8,000 in Haltech equipment with the IC7, the computer, the wiring loom, all the sensors and that kind of thing. Various GFB parts, $1,500. Exhaust fabrication parts, $2,000. Intercooler and piping, 1,500 bucks. All the miscellaneous Raceworks parts, that's things like injection, reservoirs, pumps, the drive-by-wire conversion and all that sort of stuff, $6,000 to $7,000. Head gaskets, 700 bucks because we needed 2 of them. And then the nitrous setup was about 1,100 bucks. Plus, this is the killer. The labor from the top of that engine build and all the fabrication and putting it in over about 2.5 to 3 months, $30,000. So, total, about $75,000. Yeah, things really escalated, but that's okay. We love it anyway. And realistically, people spend a lot more money to get a whole lot less power. So there's that too. 1 second. Now we're jumping back in time. We're going back to Kinsella's Customs. Now Kinsella, I have known for a long time. He was very keen to do all the bar work and the suspension, that sort of thing, and had some absolutely wild ideas. And we did constantly keep moving the goalposts that we originally set for ourselves, which didn't help us in the cost side of things. But let's dive into it. The 3-link front end with alloy links, $19,000. The 4-link rear end, $15,000. We have the GU steering box kit, 400 bucks. We have the coilovers from Bilstein, those gorgeous 14-inch coilovers. For all of those, about $10,000. We got the steering dampener from Cal Off-Road, 400 bucks. The Bilstein hydraulic bump stops, about $2,800, 700 bucks each. We've got the chassis blasting and then painting, which was $1,200. That brings the total of the suspension work to $48,800. Keeping it Kinsella's, we've got the bar work. We've got the bull bar, 3,000 bucks. The rear bar, $3,000. We've got the sliders and scrubbies, it's about 2,500. The winch is about 1,800, which brings the total of the bar work and associated accessories to $10,300. Moving on to diffs and driveline now. Now this is stuff that you would have seen on YouTube. We worked closely with Dwiz, we worked closely with Blue Flame, we worked closely with a lot of people, especially Harrop as well with their lockers, to try and make this as bulletproof a setup as possible. So we've got the Dwiz GU front housing, which is obviously that sheet metal housing on the front of this car, $4,100. We've got the GU center, $1,000. We got Harrop e-lockers, they're $1,900 each, so 3,800 bucks. We've got the stud upgrade in the rear, 250 bucks. We've got the front end rebuild, 2.5 grand. The rear end rebuild, 2.5 grand. Part-time conversion from HD, 1,500 bucks. The custom shafts, 1,000 bucks each, so 2,000 all up. PDI short shifter, 400 bucks, which brings the diffs and driveline mods to $18,050. Coming up the rear, we have got a whole stack of miscellaneous bits and bobs. We've got the custom bonnet and paint, $3,500. We've got the Bushtooth LED headlights, $650. We've got the tail lights, $250. The fuel tank, as you would have seen in that episode, was a bit of a ludicrous nightmare. The cost of the tank by itself was 500 bucks. That's not including us mucking around with 3 different fuel level senders, Max's labor to modify it and actually put it in the car. If you added all that up, it'd probably be way more. But just the cost of the tank alone was 500 bucks. The rear wing, $200. Maddie's custom grille, 300 bucks. The lift up cruiser company windows that you would have seen in an episode not that long ago, $1,000. And engineering for this vehicle, $4,000, bringing the total of the miscellaneous sort of stuff to just under $11,000. Now, I'm no mathematician, and there's a lot of grey area in a lot of these total add-ups, and we're sort of basing everything off a couple of things. The first is that we paid full retail, full ticket price for everything. Now, obviously, as you guys know, that may not be the case. We're lucky enough to be working in an industry where a lot of brands are happy to work with us in return on exposure, for contra deals, in all sorts of sponsorship and partnership arrangements. But I do have to thank you guys for giving me the platform and the ability to actually do what I do. Now, you take up all those insanely large numbers that really sort of scary and terrifying to think about, and you get one even bigger number. The total cost of this build to date is $202,000 thereabouts dollars. Just over 200 grand for that. For a 32-year-old Land Cruiser is absolutely ludicrous, and I can't recommend you guys not doing it enough. Honestly, it's really spiraled out of control, but it has been an absolute pleasure to build and a pleasure for you guys to be watching, I'm hoping. But yeah, hopefully that answers a lot of your questions. I know it's been a very popular question at the 4x4 shows. A lot of people were asking me all weekend in Melbourne, plus a lot of the comments lately have been, how much has it cost? Would I do it again? Would you recommend building a car like this? And what am I out of pocket? And hopefully that gives you a little bit of light on what this absolutely silly project has cost. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are dropping weekly Thursday afternoon uploads and have been doing for 12 months. You guys have been loving it. This build's got a long way to go. I'm in the pipeline for organising a future build for the end of this year, so you guys are going to have to really subscribe, like, comment, share this around and get excited for that, because that's going to be an interesting time as well. But until then, we'll see you next Thursday. One final thing before I let you go. Automotive Superstore have been supporting the channel for quite some time now, and they have just given me a discount code so you guys can give them a go too. That code is NGTY40, NGTY40. All you have to do is make an account over at automotivesuperstore.com.au, chuck that discount code in at checkout, and you're going to get 10% off your first order. So give them a go. I know you're going to absolutely love them. They're a fantastic Aussie-based company, and they're adding more and more 4x4 brands every damn day. I can't even keep up. So give them a go.